the Black Origin. This is how we do it. Let me set up the system because we're gonna go talking some vibes today. Now, one of the subjects I want to talk about, something I raised last week about what Gary Lineker said, and like I'm going, you know what? About time we talk his truth, but it's about time people start talk truth upon these things. I'm not saying they don't, but it's amazing how. Anyway, we'll get to it anyway. So yeah, but we're gonna have here what John Barnes said, because I've had John Barnes come on my show before. Well, not literally, but you know what I mean. He said something. Hello, John Barnes, yo, please, we'd love for you to come on Infinity Extra, because I think me and you could just chop it up nice. Yeah, John, I'm actually gonna Instagram him, man, because I'm gonna say, yo, John, I try and do controversial, not controversial, real talk, real history. You know what I mean? I love the vibe where he talks about, you know, it's education. At first I didn't get him. I remember he did this interview and KL and Cahill at the Everton pitch. I can't remember what game it was. It might have been Liverpool versus Everton. I don't think it was. And I just turned around and said education. You know what I mean? These people just making uneducated responses based upon what they've been told. You know what I mean? So this is how it goes here on Infinity X. We're gonna keep real talk. So let me switch around my screen. Yeah, man, let's get that on there nice and big. Yeah. Me there. But listen, so we got John Barnes on here on the screen there still, yeah. So hopefully you'll see it good and proper. So you can see John Barnes. So I'm gonna bring it in. Let me turn this down here. So I'm gonna bring it in and we're gonna comment on it as it goes along still anyway. So because I think it's big things.
You've said that you're 100% behind Gary Lineker. Why is that?
In terms of impartiality, I don't know when the BBC have ever been impartial. In fact, BBC's reporting on the Qatar World Cup was anything but impartial. So it's...
Just pause it right there. Don't know the BBC was far from impartial. You know what I'm saying? It was disgracefully not impartial. So for me, it was a case of going, you know what, still, yeah, John Barnes is totally right. You know, when it came to Qatar, they were battering into a culture where they had no business battering into. You know what I mean? Because anyway, so we'll get to that anyway. So yes, but I just thought I just have to jump in there. Sorry, guys. Yeah.
That they want to pick and choose when they want to be impartial. Criticizing others or criticizing other countries or other political parties or other religions seems to be okay. But of course, if you then criticize what goes on in this country, then it seems that they will then come out with this impartiality rule. The second thing, which a lot of people took offense to, is the perception that Gary was equating Britain to Nazi Germany, which he wasn't. What he said was the language used regarding the refugees is similar to the language used in 1930s Germany, which it was.
And this is what I'm saying, guys. I said this in my last go check my video. I said this same thing. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? By the way, John Barnes ain't my uncle. You know what I'm saying? We're not even related. I'm just looking, going, there's not one part of him that look like me, you know, but I think he's from St. Catherine, his family is. But listen, guys, yo, he's talking truth. Yeah, 100%. And I said the same thing, and he now watched me and got inspired by it. I know he came off with his own viewpoint. But this is what I'm saying to you guys here. Study your history. Know where Hitler was coming from before you open up your mouth. So don't say nothing about us. Make it a reflective piece. Make this be a time where you go, you know what? Are we going down this route? Because if you study history, you'll know that this time with so many strikes is just like the time before World War II. So we need to be careful. Do we want more wars? There were civil wars going on before World War II. There was, you know what I mean, unions versus trade unions, train unions. This union was fighting the police, was doing that. You had police versus the army. It was chaos. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? That's my opinion.
Of course, you can see how that ended up. And Gary's not saying, I'm not saying that that's how it's going to end up. But of course, the language used in terms of creating this perception of an unworthy refugee, very much like the Jews were unworthy to be German, and Germans were better than Jews. That was the language that was used, and that's what we're saying here. We're talking about the refugees coming over, and the language used towards the refugees coming over on boats, in terms of them being rapists, in terms of them being criminals, is different to the refugees from the Ukraine. And
this is what I'm saying to you, right? So I'm talking to genuine cool people, you know what I'm saying, who are English descent, you know what I mean, have no issue with black people at all, you know what I'm saying, and they do what they're doing. They will come with the argument saying that, oh, these people are raping people, the women are scared and this and whatever. And do you realize the more time they have to be scared of their own people? You know what I'm saying? Guys, we have been made to feel like savages. We know the narrative. I'm not saying that people are not going to be, there's no criminals in this situation, but there's white criminals, there's black criminals, there's criminals of every color. Stop pointing to these people of being all even, all the men don't want to come here to work. There's some genuine good people. Got a friend of mine, he's Syrian, great guy, nice guy. I bumped into him in the gym. He's definitely Syrian, and he's come through. He's fought hard to get over here. He's come here. He's nothing but worked. That man's to get hands and wash your car. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, going every day they gotta work. We just sit at the bottom and want check. Yo, check yourself.
That's what we have to address, and that is what I want Gary and everybody supporting him to talk about. Us talking about the worthiness of different groups of people, because that's how discrimination starts. Be it men, women towards the men, in terms of the worthiness of a woman towards a man, blacks towards whites, gays towards straight people, and a Syrian refugee coming over on a boat as in relation to a Ukrainian refugee coming over. We don't hear language from the Ukrainian refugees situation talking about rapists and murderers, but we hear it about the Iraqis and the Syrians, and that's what I would like Gary and people to talk about. The worthiness of everybody, including the Syrian refugees, in relation to the Ukrainian refugees.
Look, you raised...
And this is what I'm saying, guys. It's not by any way coincidence that we're going out away for Ukraine. Oh, these people, because the way they look. If they were dark skin or darker skin, I'm telling you straight, they will be treated differently. And I don't care what anyone says, because that's the truth. At the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. You know what I'm saying? So, end of the day still, yeah, is man spitting out bars, you know what I mean? And this is why Gary Lineker has hit hot water with the government, but this is the truth. And I think that, you know, but yeah, we'll get to it.
Really important points, and points that many people are going to have strong views about, right? Mm-hmm. But I guess what some would argue is Gary Lineker the right person to be entering this debate? He's paid licence fee money. He is presenter of the BBC's flagship programme. Is it right that this kind of political debate should be entering the world of sport?
Would Gary Lineker be the right person to talk about the LGBTQ rights and human rights in Qatar? We can't have it both ways. We accept that.
Oh, damn me, you got done straight away. Jump on. Yo, John Barnes went in, shut up the place with that bar there still, yeah? Yo, we got audacity to talk about other people and other cultures and go to their country and complain and tell the players they shouldn't be going on the pitch or they should be wearing certain things against the country and talk all the time against the country, do documentaries against the country, but yet we can't even talk about our own country that we're anyway still.
So why can't he talk about it here? So this is the point I'm making about impartiality, and we're saying that stick to sports. But when we want to criticize other countries or other religions, we then say, yes, let the sports people come out and talk about that, but don't criticize what goes on in this country. We can't have it both ways.
Interesting. You're talking there about the sort of double standards and what you would see as you can't have it both ways, certainly.
She got caught out there. She thought it was a tongue twister for him, and he came back, she goes, yes, I think you want to trouble. Oh, yes. I think the impartiality is big bait. Yep.
We've seen a wave of sports presenters, commentators refusing to appear on the BBC in support of Gary Lineker. Do you think that they're right to do that?
Well, of course, if that's what they believe, and they believe in what Gary's talking about. I'm not supporting Gary because I'm Gary's friend or I played with him.
It's amazing how footballers can back Gary Lineker, but it's amazing when players are getting racially abused. We don't get backing of players walking off pitches saying, "I'm not going to play because this example, Roger's been racially abused. My black colleague or Gunotas from Leeds is being racially abused by his own fans, and the chants that they're singing, it might be fun, but it's a bit disrespectful. You know, we don't do them things there still. Yeah, we don't speak up against them situations. We just keep our mouth shut. Yeah, but either way, set an example. This may be a sea change where people start to actually back up causes for the people that have been downtrodden. Come on, man, I'm using some Bible terms right there still.
Supporting him because I believe it's right to do. But as I said, let's not make this, and this should not be about Gary Lineker and the BBC pundits supporting him. This should be about the refugees and them coming over, and that's the conversation that should be had. Now, this is a distraction to, and I suppose the government is quite happy with this, a distraction to the cost of living crisis, a distraction to, you know, the working conditions for the nurses and railway workers and postal workers. So this is probably quite welcome because, of course, no one's now talking about real issues, because this really is just a sideshow and it's inconsequential and it's meaningless. But we've had 3 or 4 days and it will continue to run. And I think it's quite a welcome distraction to real issues from the government.
Wow. And then John Barnes comes up with the uppercut at the end. He goes, you know what? After all this, it's a great distraction because right about now, man's are getting away with paying people tuppence or threepence. Yeah. And actually, it's like this, people getting pay rises now. And everyone's like, yeah. Do you realize the minimum wages has gone up? Yes, the minimum wage has gone up. So I am not getting happy over a pay rise because end of the day, so yeah, is it relative, pay rise relative to the pay rise that's been according to minimum wage, thanks to the mini recession that we're facing anyway. So yeah, but just saying.
How do you see it being resolved? Because you have got the people who are supporting Gary Lineker refusing to, if you like, cross the invisible picket line. You've got the Director General of the BBC apologising. Where does this go?
Well, of course, a compromise will be had. They'll come back together. The profile of lots of people will be raised. The profile of the BBC will be raised, and they'll do the right thing. And it'll be the status quo will resume very shortly with everybody being happy.
Do you think that the BBC guidelines themselves need to be looked at? Perhaps it's a bit of unclarity, shall we say, a lack of clarity in the guidelines themselves.
Absolutely, very ambiguous. And of course, Gary is also freelance. So as to whether he is fully employed by the BBC, so he's able to say things, and I suppose Gary probably thought, well, if I'm in Qatar talking about human rights abuses, then why can't I talk about what I believe to be right here as well? So I think there's a lot of ambiguity to it. And of course, I'm not a lawyer, but you can pick different things out of contracts and say, yes, you're allowed to, but you're not allowed to. And everybody has an argument. So, how can you become more clear without saying you're completely impartial? You can't mention it at all, even in your private life, even if you're freelance. But as I said, I'm just sad that this has been going on for so long when we have many more issues to talk about.
Have you had a call to present Match of the Day?
Oh, he's not getting no call.
No.
Do you think they're calling your buds?
I'm called by many people for many years.
You know what? If you volunteered to do it now, I bet they'd be on the phone straight away.
Oh, come on, sister.
Only because there's nobody else. No, I wouldn't do it. Presenting, if I was able to present, I would think about it. But my presenting days are over. But I suppose that anybody who's going to be doing it now is because there's nobody else to do it who can do it. But I won't be one of them, no.
Thank you very much.
Yo, that was jokes, guys. Absolute jokes. And you know what, still, yeah, it's the way it goes. But yeah, guys, just to sum up, for me, big up to Vessel Music there, Cat J, drop it in still. I'm not really, I think that we need to kind of like still really wake up in this arena. And this is what I'm saying. People say, oh, why are you going too much? No, as I said to my friend the other day, I said to my friend at work, I said to him, listen, all the great points he make about, oh, these guys got more crimes. All things that have been thrown up in the air and technically made up and whatever, they're still, yeah. The bottom right hand corner, me looking different means in the UK I get treated different. Every fact backs that. By me being stopped by the police more often. But my sisters, my black sisters, more likely can die having children. Right up to this year. And I keep saying that because that's a hard one pill to swallow. From not only me as a black man, but also me, you as a human being. I know human beings will go, that's not right. Says it is right. So things need to change and can change. And I know the NHS wants to change. Having talks with them. I'm not saying I'm doing big team talk, but I'm having chats with them and talks with them. They want to change. So yeah, let's change. Crazy. But listen, some good vibes tune, man.
In the beginning.
Hey.
Hi, and thank you for watching. Make sure you subscribe, you like, and you comment, and make sure that you're sharing the videos and watching so much more. We have loads of content for you. I hope you enjoy.